Oh boy. Hi guys. How's it going? Captain Foley with you again today for another Lower Decks first reaction discussion and hangout. So welcome back everybody. Hope you're well. All right. Let's get into this. I really hate that they changed this app. It's not intuitive anymore. It's kind of shit. Because of course they had to change the app. You know, engineers, they love to change things. Anyway, welcome back, guys. So today we're here to talk about Season 4, Episode 4, which is called Something Borrowed, Something Green. And we get to... Hold on one second. Okay. We get to see Tendy's family. The fifth largest or richest family in the crime syndicate, in the Orion crime syndicate. She's a prime, trained to be an assassin. Wow. So we got some good Tendy's story, which is great. And yeah, the Rutherford Boimler thing I didn't think was interesting at all. But anyhow. Ooh, you were meeting another YouTuber. How dare you, BJ? So anyway, how's the picture? It's looking a little bit janky here, but I'm not sure. I might have to tweak something. Let me know, guys. What are you talking about today? For fuck's sakes, Terrence. What do you think? It's Thursday. There's just a new episode of Lower Decks. Did you not read the title? Terrence, you're here enough. You should know these things. Good to see you in Maryland. Picture fuzzy like tribbles. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Let's see. Let's try that. See if that works. Fleet Pod, there's no way I can autofocus. The reason it was fuzzy because the signal was shit. Not enjoying the signal issue. There we go. Hopefully that's cleaned it up a tad. Yeah, it fucking didn't work with when I turned the Wi-Fi off and it was on the LTE network, which should be fine. Now it's back on the Wi-Fi and it's fine, even though it was on the same Wi-Fi a minute ago. I don't understand. Anyway, whatever. There you go. So yeah, this was an alright episode of Lower Decks. It wasn't by any means my favorite of the season or anything, but it was alright. Getting some backstory for Tendi was nice, and seeing some of the Orion stuff, a hump dungeon, that was great. We saw one of those in Discovery though, so and the drinking game with the poisonous bug, that was interesting as well. So anyway, yeah, the Rutherford and Boimler stuff didn't really work for me. Samuel Clements or Mark Twain was interesting, but nah, their poor bonsai tree. Oh no. I like the double Mark Twain. To paraphrase an old rail splitter, Abraham Lincoln, a house divided in twain cannot stand. Mark Hansen says, wow, I thought it was because my Wi-Fi was off. Oh, well, it works now. Ozzy says, will the boys put the Enterprise D picture in their room? Probably. Tendi Prime, yes. I was going to make some kind of Prime joke. Well, that's just Prime. Trained Assassin. And her sister taking over that role was interesting. Yeah, the Orion stuff was kind of neat. I love the pheromone thing. I love that Tendi could never use the pheromones. But she didn't have to because everybody just followed her anyway because they love her. I thought that was kind of neat too. So, Lynn was great with her dry observations, yes. Chuck A, TNG fanatic member for 42 months at the rank of lieutenant, says the episode was a little better than last week. Trying to remember what last week's was. Why can't I remember what last week's was? The week before that was Moopsy. The week before that was Voyager. Why can't I remember what episode 3 was? Anyhow, moving on. Hypnover says, I love the Orion parts. Agree, didn't really care for the other storyline. Yes. Mark Henson, Beast Wars, yes. Well, that's just Prime. Fleetpaw Swiftback throws in $5. Thank you so much, Fleetpaw. Tendi stuff was awesome. Hail the mistress of the winter constellation. I enjoy seeing Chilonath again. I wonder if his name means fighter. Yeah, we saw them in that one TNG episode where Captain Picard gets abducted with a few other people. He is one of them. Although in that one, it's firmly established that he can only eat meat. Yet in this one, he eats a bonsai tree. Not him specifically, but their race. So that was the threat, is that he would have to eat one of them. Anyhow, not a big deal. Mark says, I'd follow Tendi. Yeah, I would follow Tendi anywhere as well. Pumpkin Spice, the Orion ship, a stolen Romulan one? No, it's a Orion design. It was an Enterprise. Designed by John Eves. So it's an Orion design. It's just a very old Orion design. This one has a few little add-ons to it and little changes, which of course we will do a video on and compare it to the one from Enterprise, but no, it's absolutely an Orion design. Kevin Scott says Tendi transitioned to who she really is instead of what her society wanted her to be. Yeah, absolutely. And good on her. And I like when Mariner's like, no, Tendi says, I didn't want you to see who I really was. And Mariner just puts her arms around her and says, you're who you really are when you're geeking out on the Cerritos over science stuff and scanning stuff. That was nice. Kevin Scott 76, Tendi. Oh, I just read that one. Sorry, my apologies. Jesus Christ. Mark says, I'm having a hard time remembering last week too. Vexilon. Oh, yes. In the cradle of Vexilon with the Ring World, Halo Ring World, and the Vexilon Windows update. That's the one. Not bad by any means, but I think this one's better than that for sure. Maybe even better than the Moopsy one, but still not better than the first one for me. Fleet Pass says, Boimler doing everything for his crew. First away mission in charge. Yeah. Yes. That just shows how unremarkable it was. I know, right? Ozzy says, episode 3, the crew gets promoted. Note, they got promoted. 3 of them got promoted in episode 1. The other one got promoted in episode 2. So that is not correct, Ozzy. Fleet Paw said the Dyson Sphere episodes with volcanoes and such. Yes. BJ says the Orions steal for a living, so any ship design can be theirs. Yes, but that is an Orion ship design, so that's fine. Love how the one guy's like, "Oh, I gotta shave my head and put bolts in my head too," and the lady's like, "Would you come up with an original idea? Stop stealing other people's ideas." Well, I am an Orion. We steal things. That was great. I found that funny. The Orion plagiarist. Yeah, that was good. Fleet Pass said the Chelnoth from the episode was named Essog. The one from this episode was Kogar, but they both mean fighter. Aces and Eights 115 says, "Hey Cap, who did your art for the screen cap?" Which screen cap are you talking about? The thumbnail? Oh, of me on the thumbnail. Yeah, that's a lady on Twitter or Etsy that Samuel contacted. We got a lot of little avatars of ourselves in different styles and different uniforms. So yeah, I don't know her name offhand. Sam would know. But yeah, did a pretty good job. All right. Ozzy says, "Watch out, Orion's has your TOS hand phaser." I know, and they threw it in the garbage. How dare they? How dare they? BJ says, Boimler and Rutherford should have stayed dressed as Mark Twain through the whole B-plot. Should they, though? Fleet Pass said they established the Orion ship design aesthetic in Enterprise. It's kind of like the Excelsior class. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, but this was also a pirate ship, which is not really officially Orion, I guess. It's not sanctioned, because they're trying to make this big deal of not all Orions are pirates. These ones clearly were, so it's a question of, is it just standard Orion ship design, or is it an older design, like from Enterprise era, that is now just being used by pirates and such? So Pumpkin Spice said, well, we need a new serious adventure Trek animated series, maybe in the style of Filmation Trek. The Flash Gordon one from 1979 was one of the first series I remember watching. Fleet Pass said, but they also threw a Voyager compression rifle and a TNG rifle in there too. I didn't see the Voyager compression rifle. I did see 2 TNG hand phasers. I need to go back and rewatch that because I missed those apparently. We'll definitely talk all about that stuff though tomorrow when we do our full breakdown and review at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you can join us for that, please do. And also this weekend, this Saturday, I think Sam and I are going to do a Trekyards. We're going to talk about, I guess we're going to do a retrospective of Strange New Worlds Season 2, which we haven't got around to yet. But we're both not doing anything on Saturday, so I think we'll do a Trekyards this Saturday. So if you can make it, that would be awesome. It'll probably start around, I'm thinking like 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and maybe go for a few hours. So if you can make it, there you go. Ozzy says, was the alien probe at first leaving the Orion alone at first? It was cruising, doing its own thing, and yes, it didn't turn around or didn't stop and do anything until it was being followed by them. So, yes, I don't think it was out to get them specifically. They just made it mad. Hold on one second. Something has been moved, and I don't know why. Something in my display case had fallen over. Oh no, you all yell. That was weird. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I got distracted, and that's something I couldn't just leave. I had to fix that. All right. Sergeant Montgomery says, okay, so this episode we see the unknown vessel vaporized everything in its beam, organic in all. Yeah, that's the impression that I get. But a lot of people still say it looks like the figures, like the white beam washes over, and then you see the figures in silhouette, and then they kind of implying that they're being transported or whatever. I don't think that's the case. They look like they're being wiped away. If they were going the other direction towards the ship, I'd buy that. But anyway. Fleet Pa said I was looking for Easter eggs. Yeah. Mark said they looked at it funny. Fleet Pa said I'm taking Cornell football to Yale tomorrow and Saturday, so I should be here for a bit at least Saturday. Can't drink though. Oh no. Well, if you can make it, cool. If not, that's fine too. Don't worry about it. But if anybody else out there watching can make it, please do so. It'd be fun. We always do love the Trekyards, and they're different. They're more of just a conversation going on. So I always hate kind of the structured way we do things sometimes, and I would just prefer to just do a general hangout and discussion. But anyway. Aces and Eights says, off topic a bit, did you ever do anything with the destroyer that I sent you with the cross swords mirror decals on it? B. McRae. I haven't done anything with it. It is downstairs in a bin right now because after the basement got flooded and I put everything away, it is now in a bin with a bunch of other Star Trek models which I have not brought out yet, which eventually I will get to, and I'll find some way to display it. I know which one you're talking about. It is the Larson class. And yeah, I haven't done anything with it yet. So, good to see you. Fleet Pa said, who did it? Olivia, did you break into the captain's house again? Trying to steal the pugs? Pumpkin Spice. Anything else upcoming look any good? New Rick and Morty, but might not be as gold without Justin Roland's improv and ad-libbing. Anything else upcoming looking any good? That's a good question, and I don't know. After Ahsoka and Lower Decks are finished, I don't know what's new on the horizon, which is kind of a scary feeling. And with the writer's strike and stuff still being on, I just don't know, man. I still have a feeling that Discovery Season 5, the last season, will be coming out like March, possibly, for Paramount, but it could be later. I don't know. I think it's been pushed back a little bit again. Fleetpaw said, I'll be here for sure, not 100% sure how long I can stay, though. That's okay, Fleetpaw. Hypno Amber said, yay, Drunkyards, I will be there and actually drink. Ooh, you're going to shot for shot with us, Hypno Amber? We would love that. Come hang out with us. Project Achieva, how exactly do you throw a pad from a moving spacecraft? Did you not see the spacecraft? It was full of holes. She whipped it out one of the windows that was broken. The whole front window was broken. That's how. How did you not figure that out? As they're flying, their hair is like from the wind blowing through the windows. It was in a junkyard. Do I need to explain more? All right. Fleetpaw said you fling it out of the hull breach. Yeah. Solaris, the long hauler rail. Oh my God! Solaris, the long hauler rail fan, says, "Hey, Captain, y'all are going to do a fleet yards on the ship that was in the scrapyard on Lower Decks episode today. Why would we do a fleet yards? That's definitely a Trekyards, and that is the Raven class, the same vessel that was used by Annika Hansen's parents." To study the Borg, which is one of my favorite ship designs. I actually really like the Raven class. I think we might have covered it. Fleetpaw, check and see if there's a video on the Raven class. I don't think there's a full breakdown video, but there might be a mission briefing on it or something. Because, yeah, we love the Raven class. Would not be Fleet Yards, though. Fleet Yards is something completely different. It's actually not called Fleet Yards anymore. It's now called Trekyards Universe, formerly known as Fleet Yards. Aces and eights. You need to add more Lego to your collection. There is a great Enterprise G set on Rickable. Ire Fan Geek says, haven't seen the episode, just stopping by to say hi. Ahsoka is hella good, though. Ahsoka is fantastic. Covered that last night. If you're just joining us, though, even if just for a minute or two, hit that like button. We have 40 people watching and 20 likes. It's only a 50% like rate or ratio. That's not acceptable. We can do better than that. We are better than that. All right. Hypnober says, alas, I can't do shot for shot anymore, but I have been saving a hard seltzer just for the occasion. Awesome. Yeah, please join us. Sergeant Montgomery Mako says, was that junk ship model the same as the Raven? Yes, it was a Raven class. Hypno Amber said, I thought it was the Raven class. Super cool. Pumpkin Spice says, Annika Hansen, Skywalker. Yeah, there we go. Fleetpaw found it. Raven class mission briefing. So mission briefing is just where we both talk about the ship, what we like about the design, what we remember or know about it specifically. But it's not a full episode, like a full breakdown on the ship where we actually do research and write a script and all that. So check out the Raven class video. It's already done there for you. So yay, past us doing things in the past. I am going to have a drink, though. My mouth is, I'm parched. I don't know why. Dehydrated, probably. Smack that like button, please. The Mistress of the Windsor Constellation. Mark Henson says, sorry, I forgot I pushed the like. I'm kind of multitasking. I'm editing Memory Alpha at the same time. I was just watching Salty Trekker, but then you went live. His I can watch later. He already recorded. Okay, cool. Yeah. So I gotta admit, I liked the hump dungeon, as Nerner called it, and the pheromone thing again brought up. And I love how it's like, well, obviously that was made up because how else would Starfleet explain that one of their captains got bested by like three showgirls? That was great. And then we find out that the pheromone thing is a thing. You know, I'm hopped up on the stink, as they said. I'm on the moans. But Tendi can't do it, but she didn't have to because she was so charming and whatever that everybody just liked her anyway, I guess. Or maybe not charming because the one bouncer at the club was like, "Don't flay me." Who knows what she's done in her past? But she was trained to be an assassin, so I mean, hey. But I thought the pheromone thing was funny because like for the first three seasons, there was this big deal of no, they don't. That's not how they use pheromones. And then to this one, it's established. Oh, that's how most people, most Orions, could use pheromones. Tandy doesn't because she can't. And also, we're not all pirates. Like she's making this big point. Like she's really embarrassed by her culture, I think. And then we find out that there are still pirates in this one. So I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting take on kind of getting like behind the veil of the Orions. Cheers for the admin, yeah. John Walker is here. Hello, John Walker. Mark Henson, are we sure she couldn't or just wouldn't use pheromones? She can't use them. Did you not listen? The mistress of the sex den said, just because you are unable to use pheromones, I forget exactly the wording, but yeah, she says that Tendi can't use them. She just wasn't born with them, I guess, or something happened. I don't know. It's just a thing. She doesn't use them. She can't use them. So, Tendi is my atomic green. Oh. Fleet Pal says it explains she cannot mark. Yes, it does. Ira Fan Geek, I was just about to read that, and you retracted the message. Shame on you. John Walker, though, says, I haven't got to watch it yet, but do we get more insight into the name Mistress of the Winter Constellation? Not really. We actually get a new title for her as well. She's the Prime. She is, well, you'll see. We don't get an explanation for that, though, but she has referred to that a few times. Pumpkin Spice. They might be undoing the family royalty thing a la Deanna Troi. They already had Billups be a prince. Mark Henson, yeah, I thought she might have been insulting her. No. I think that very firmly establishes that she just can't use them. So, Ira Fan Geek says, I just found out that Jerry O'Connell is the voice of the Commander. God, I love that show Sliders, but the way it ended made me so upset. Damn, Squeaky Gate. Yeah, you didn't know that he was Commander Ransom? That's why it's so funny in the crossover on Strange New Worlds. When they get back, he's talking about Numero Una, the sexiest first officer in Starfleet history, because he's married to her. Rebecca Romaine Lettuce and Jerry O'Connell are married. And yes, I call her Rebecca Romaine Lettuce because I think it's hilarious. Because she's not Rebecca Romaine Stamos anymore. And I can't really stand her. I don't like her very much. So it is what it is. But yeah, so they both play first officers. So in their household, they're both first officers in Star Trek. That is kind of a neat thing to be able to say, honestly. One live action, one animated. Fleet Pa says, I thought Erica, the sister, explained what that title meant, along with another title. She said Dark Star or something. Yes, she did say something about, I think it was Dark Star, it was something else. But it was having to do with the job that they had been assigned as the assassin. And did you notice that her blade had constellations on it. So that was, she took over the job of Prime for Tendi. She didn't really explain what Mistress of the Winter constellation meant, but she kind of talked about the job title and the fact that she had to take it over when Tendi left, and she has a little bit of resentment for that. So, yeah. Like I said, tomorrow during our complete breakdown and review, we will, of course, break down all that stuff and talk about it and kind of get a read on that and get the definitive answer for you guys. So, yeah. Ira Fan Geek says Jerry O'Connell in Tomcats is hilarious too. Yeah. Pumpkin Spice, O'Connell has been neutered. He is on CBS's version of The View. The Talk. LOL. Oh, really? The Talk? Okay. Mark Henson, wasn't that her moonlit blade, as she called it? Yes, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but yes, that absolutely was. Because it looked like it had some really cool markings on the blade, but they were clearly constellations. So, actually, I say clearly constellations, but at the same time, they look like circuit board patterns to me. That's what I thought it was at first. I'm like, what's that blade of, like circuit board? Oh no, it's probably constellations. Okay, that makes sense. So, there you go. Oh, John Walker. Is there a full interior breakdown of the Dideridex? I need to see more interior of that ship. There is no full interior breakdown of the Dideridex that I'm aware of. Definitely not on our channel, and definitely not on any other channels that I'm aware of. Trying to think. Can't remember the name of the channel, but where he does the cutaways of the ships, or like the deck by decks. He might have one. I know he's done a lot of Star Trek ships, but I don't think I've seen one on the Dideridex. But that'd be neat to see, absolutely. I don't think we've even done a full episode on the Dideridex. I have one scripted for it that I had scripted probably like 3 years ago, maybe more years ago, and we never filmed it, or we filmed it and never got released. I think it was one of the, I think I have to go check my computer downstairs and see which folder it's in, but I'm pretty sure it was an unfilmed one, but it is written. I may need to go back and tweak a few things now. And the reason I'm staring up there is because I'm staring at a Dideridex. So, yeah, I don't think we ever did one. We might have done a mission briefing on the Dideridex, but we never did our full episode on the Dideridex, even though it was scripted and ready to go. Phoenix Gundam, I assume there will be a full breakdown on the Orion ship from this. Yes, there will be. It'll be on Saturday. Pumpkin Spice, any word on Prodigy? Did it get picked up yet? No idea. Have not heard. BJ said Tendi singing a version of Gilbert and Sullivan's I Am the Pirate King from the Pirates of Penzance would be funny. For I am the Pirate King. The pirates from beyond Antares. I am the Pirate Queen, and it is a wonderful thing to be the Pirate Queen. Hooray for the Pirate Queen. Hooray for the Pirate Queen. John Walker would love to see more if the Decora class, as well. That was an amazing looking ship. Thank you for the last answer. No problem. Phoenix Gundam's happy that we have a Saturday release on the Orion ship. Yeah, there's our Dideridex mission briefing. Thank you very much, Fleet Paw. But like I said, that's not the full video. That's not the comprehensive, researched, in-depth video. So, anyway. And we've done one on the Raven class as well, which is also in this episode. So, John Walker, $2. Just for the song. Hello. Thank you. Actually, one of my favorite movies, a guilty pleasure movie, if you will, is the Pirate movie. Don't know if you guys have seen it. It was out a few years ago, quite a few years ago, like late 80s. But it's kind of a riff on Pirates of Penzance. It's great. If you've heard of the Pirate movie, I like you. We can be friends. Fleetpaw said designing the Dideridex, I presume with Probert. Yes, that would be with Andrew Probert. That was him talking about doing the designs for the ship where he forgot to put impulse engines on it. There's no impulse engines on the Dideridex. He was going to and forgot. Our Fan Geek, so does Lower Decks take place right before Star Trek Legacy timeline or after? Lower Decks is like 11, maybe I think more years than that. And I don't know which Legacy timeline you mean. Star Trek Legacy, do you mean like Star Trek Picard? In which case, yes, Lower Decks is like a decade or more before before Picard. So before the series Picard. Just to be clear. Chris Bruce is here and says, hello, Chris Bruce. Pumpkin Spice, so what is Trek's future now? Paramount Plus wants to cut back on it. I have no idea. Phoenix Gundam, Romulan designers going sublight is for losers. John Walker, the Dideridex was built with the help of Todd Howard. It just works. Oh. Fleetpaw, and why not? Build the Dideridex model with Captain Foley adversary set. That's actually the model that I'm looking at, that I just referred to. That's an old one. Oh my goodness, but you get to see a really cool painted Dideridex. There it is. That's my adversary set right there. And I did I like my paint job. I like that I painted the feather details the way I did. Can't really see them on the bottom because the lighting sucks, but you can see them at the top. And actually, that designing the Dideridex with Andrew Probert, when we filmed that, I showed him my model and my paint job. And I said, what do you think of it? And he's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say anything. It's kind of insulted. I like my paint job. Not all the ships have to look the same, and all green is just unimaginative, I tell you. Pumpkin Spice, they had a vertical Dideridex ship earlier on Lower Decks, one of the original designs. Yeah, it won't be a Dideridex design, though. It wouldn't be called the Dideridex class. We actually did a video on that already. But that's one of his original concepts, which has shown up actually before in Ships of the Line calendar. So we covered that already. But yes, it's a Dideridex-like ship, but not a Dideridex. Chris Bruce. So the ship they restarted in the ship graveyard is apparently from Voyager. Yeah, it's the Raven class. It's the same one that Annika Hansen's parents were using to track and study the Borg. So, Raven class. Our Fan Geek, so we could get Lower Decks cameos in the Star Trek Legacy show. You absolutely could, yes. There'll be captains and stuff then. Pumpkin Spice, just glue on some red Tic Tacs. There are your Dideridex impulse engines. Right. John Walker says, I like Pumpkin's suggestion. Yes, I do too, considering we have seen them in live action, at least Boimler and Mariner, seen them in live action in the Strange New Worlds crossover. So yeah, anything is possible, absolutely. Just realized this wasn't, there we go. And most of the actors look like their characters, like the Captain Freeman. She could be in live action. Of course, we know Jack Quaid, or like Boimler and Mariner could. Tendi could. Rutherford could. Shax couldn't. Shax is like an older, bigger guy with like glasses. Dr. Miglimo could, actually. The voice actor that does Dr. Miglimo with some prosthetics could absolutely look like the character. Ransom absolutely could. So yeah, I would like to see them, any of them, in live action. So there you go. Matthew DeFried finally a laugh out loud episode. Yeah, there were one or two moments that were pretty good. Phoenix Gundam just thought the Raven was a bigger shuttlecraft. No, it's not super big. It's got, like, the front end of it is essentially a runabout. And then it's just got, like, a big area in the back and some warp nacelles. It's not that big, but it's not small either. So Fleet Palace says, seeing as we're on the Romulan kick, Romulan warbird concept. Dun dun dun. Which one is that? Is that the latest one? Yeah, that's the latest one. Okay. Pumpkin Spice. Eugene Cardello is kind of short. LOL. John Walker had a question about the archaeologist ship. I thought ships in Trek need two nacelles to form a warp bubble. No, that's bullshit. John Walker, you must be new here. Those are what are called Roddenberry's 4 rules. There's 4 rules for starship design, which Fleetpaw, we've got a 2-part video with Andrew Probert talking about the rules of ships of Star Trek design. One is the bridge has to be on the top of the ship. 2 is that the Bizarre collectors need to face forward into open space. 3 is that they need to be in pairs, either 2, 4, 6, whatever. They can't be odd numbers. Number 4 is that they have to have line of sight of each other. So the 2 nacelles have to see each other. They can't be obscured by a hull. So ships like the Defiant would be out. Any of the 3 nacelled ships, like the Federation class or the Niagara class that was at the bottom of Wolf 359, or the Galaxy X from All Good Things. You also can't have single nacelled ships like the Saladin, which we've got now in Strange New Worlds. No. It's the pairs rule is a bunch of bullshit, and I absolutely despise that. The only reason those were made is out of spite. Gene Roddenberry worked with Franz Joseph back in the 70s to make the Franz Joseph Technical Manual. As a part of that, they designed some new ships, like the Saladin class, the Hermes class, both single nacelle destroyers. Then you got the Federation class Dreadnought, which was 3 nacelles. And between them making that book and the release of Star Trek: The Motion Picture, Franz Joseph and Gene Roddenberry had a falling out. And as a result of that, Gene Roddenberry created these 4 rules of starship design, which are fucking bullshit, just to discredit most of what was in the technical manual. So, yeah. Take those for what they are. Even Star Trek breaks those rules if you want to consider them rules. They're absolutely not. So, there were single nacelled ships even in the Battle of Wolf 359. So, it's horse shit. Don't get me... That's a whole fucking rant video. Speaking of, the Rant Alert series has returned. I don't know if you guys saw that, but on the Captain Foley personal channel, Rant Alert is back in a big way with the Tomy Enterprises video. So hopefully there'll be more Rant Alerts coming soon, but that's absolutely one of them. Don't even start with the pairs rule. And as I said many times, when you think outside the box, even the pairs rule, if it is a thing that actually you want to exist, you can still explain single nacelled starships. Instead of... Each one of those nacelles has a row of warp coils, okay? If you think that they can only achieve warp by having 2 sets of warp coils, but you have a single nacelled ship, just make smaller warp coils and have 2 rows of warp coils contained within one singular nacelle. You still have your pairs rule, but it's in a singular nacelle. Smaller warp coils, mind you, which means single nacelled ships probably can't go as fast as something like the Constitution class. Speaking of, right there is a Federation class dreadnought. So, yeah, don't get me started on the 4 rules of starship design because I think they're bullshit. Andrew Probert lives and dies by them, but I mean, we've got ships like the Defiant. Like I said, there's a lot of canon versions of ships that break the rules. So, anyway. Sergeant Montgomery said, I seen 20 proof whipped cream at the liquor store today called Whip Shots. Available in Canada? Probably. I don't get to the liquor store often, so probably is. Decks class in lower decks. Thank you, Fleet Paw. Pumpkin Spice, the Raven class is like one of those $500,000 luxury motorhomes. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what it's like. Or a huge yacht. Fleet Paw Swiftback and the Romulan Bird of Prey from lower decks. He's just sharing all the content. Mastingo, this episode didn't do anything for me. That's okay. The season has been great so far. Mariner getting stabbed over and over did make me laugh, though. Yeah, I'm just going to hide behind here and then get deflects. Seriously? Pumpkin Spice, Eugene Cordero voices Rutherford. He looks to be as tall as Nog. Yes, I know he voices Rutherford, but he does look like Rutherford, so it's fine. I don't know. The height might be an issue, but... Phoenix Gundam. There was a bunch of Starfleet ships with one nacelle besides the Kelvin. Oh, fuck the Kelvin. Nobody gives a shit about the Kelvin universe. So yeah, there were a bunch of prime timeline, prime universe ships that were single nacelled as well. So Mastingo, Captain hates the pairs rule because he loves the Dreadnought. No, because it's just... The fact that it was made to discredit someone else's work because they weren't getting along at the time, I think is petty and fucking childish. That's why I don't like the pairs rule. It's incredibly stupid. Considering you helped the man design the Federation class and the Saladin class ships. So why are you... Whatever. Who cares? Mastingo, for the record, I agree. BJ says the 4 rules that no one followed. Yeah, except for Andrew Probert. He will follow them to a T. Sergeant Montgomery, Mako, Fleet Paw, we have another link for rant alerts. Pumpkin Spice, Tomy Enterprise is bad? No, they just didn't deliver exactly what they had promised, and the things they were trying to fix on it over the course of development, they, having seen the final production one, they haven't fixed. So I have a video on it. Go watch it. Fleet Paw Swiftback says, besides, there is an easy way to defeat the pairs rule with a single nacelled ship. Twin pairs of warp coils in the nacelle. I just said that. You stole my idea. Bitch. Verpine. Hi, y'all. A bit late. I see I came in on a rant. I like how people just know that I'm ranting at the time. That's great. Phoenix Gundam. Technically, you can have just an array of warp plasma emitters in the back of the ship to make a bubble with no nacelles. Sure. Rant alert, all hands to rant stations. Fleet Paw shared the link. I think, is that for the Tomy Enterprise one? Phoenix Gundam says Raven equals Space RV. Absolutely. John Walker, $2. Thank you for the pseudo rant. Yeah, new here. I recognize the name. I know you've been here a few times, but yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things that is just incredibly stupid to me. And yeah, thank you for asking, though. RJB1714. Speaking of Wolf 359, have you seen JTVFX's Wolf 359, The Massacre Part 1 that came out yesterday? Yes, I have. It's fantastic. Except for the Admiral, I forget his name now, where he's just like, can't you, like, move him a bit so it looks like he's moving? Because each time he talks and it's actual footage, he's, like, quite animated. But then all the other shots is just like... that bugged me. But Pumpkin Spice. When they made TOS and TNG, there was really no fleet in Starfleet until the Wolf 359 and First Contact battles. Pumpkin Spice. Oh yeah, did Paramount finally abandon the Kelvin Burst Trek? There's not going to be a fourth movie anytime soon, so maybe. Fleet Pod, no, you're behind on the chat, laughing my ass off. You've watched enough content. You know that was my idea originally, so stop it. Don't say you thought of that. John Walker, getting back into Trek after years off, like the last episode of DS9. Abyss of Time Off. Admiral Hansen, that's his name. Hypno Amber, I'm here for the rants and the pug snores. Yep, pug snores aplenty. It's like white noise around here. Oh, somebody's moving. Big breath in. Now the other one's kind of snoring. Fleetpot says, "Don't bitch me under your breath, mister." Fine then, bitch. You got a problem? Are we gonna have an issue? Bring it. Pumpkin Spice, LOL. After Beyond, no one wanted any more Kelvinverse nonsense. I did. They finally fixed things with Beyond to the point where the Enterprise wasn't a piece of shit anymore. And Beyond was the best of the three movies. So, but because everybody was boycotting it for various reasons, it didn't do very well. So stop licking that blanket. Mastingo, the pug might drink your bones. Yeah, Lola is very moopsy-ish. Mark says the only thing that bugged me were the Hansen parts, like you mentioned, and it was the same with Shaw. Shaw didn't bother me that much, actually. At least he, had he looked younger. And we know that he had PTSD from that moment. So I could totally see him locking up and just kind of being like, but yeah. You can add like shake, you can add subtlety, you can add even some movement to heads and stuff. You got apps that can do that, for Christ's sakes. Like bring a action figure alive or make a picture on the wall, like move and like smile and blink. Apply that to the fucking video. Aye. Mastingo said agree, I like Beyond. Fleet Paw said, next time I'm in Canada, I will. Yeah, you better. Better come right here, mister. Right here. Speaking of, we still have to do a live together for your birthday, which was a long time ago. You need to join me for a live at some point. Mastingo, okay, maybe the pug just drinks your blanket. BJ said, by the search for Spock, you have one big happy fleet, with the Reliant, Excelsior, the Grissom classes seen on screen, and then TNG uses all of those models. Fleetpaw said, FS in the chat for Banana Nacelled Kelvin Prize. That ship was terrible. Oh. Not only the Banana Nacelle, or the Banana Strutted one, but all of them were terrible until the A. And the A we got for a minute at the end of the last movie. Anyway. Moopsy is a great name for a pug. Yeah, that's exactly what we said. We said next pug we get is going to be named Moopsy. But I think a lot of pugs are going to be named Moopsy after this moment. So I don't know if I want to do that necessarily. But yeah, Lola absolutely looks like Moopsy. Walks like Moopsy with that little Moopsy. That little waddle. So. Fleetpaw said, poor dipshit from Chicago. The scene made me relive his death all over, and I didn't like it. Black Dragon 73. I love the music for your ships after each video. Thank you. That's our fleet video where you guys can have your name in that if you click the join button or go over to Patreon. You could be assigned to a ship or even get your own ship. So consider hitting the join button. John Walker just watched First Contact earlier. I'm still amazed at how good that movie looks still. Yeah, First Contact is fantastic. Hypno Amber, I've been rewatching all the original movies. I just got through the TOS ones. Nice. Pumpkin Spice. Worst thing about the first Kelvinverse Trek movie, Kirk goes from ungraduated Starfleet cadet to captain of the flagship. Yeah. But again, the Enterprise shouldn't have been the flagship then either. Just because it's got the name Enterprise on it doesn't mean it's the flagship until it's done something important enough to become the flagship. That's why the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds, even though they say it's the flagship multiple times, is not the flagship. But whatever. It's not Prime Universe. It's not Prime Timeline. They can do whatever they want. It's the flagship in their timeline, and I'm fine with that. Mastingo, First Contact is a great movie. Hypno Amber, I haven't watched them since they were reruns on TV with my granddad. That's a long time. Well, hopefully you're enjoying them again, though, on the rewatches. Even the A wasn't that great in my opinion. I didn't ask for your fucking opinion, did I? I'm telling you that the A was better. At least the fucking nacelles were the right size. They weren't oversized. And from the top, they were actually, and then from the front, they're actually spaced properly apart. Not fucking like this. Like this. That was the biggest thing for me with the Kelvin Ryan Church Enterprise, was the proportions of it were just all fucked. Absolutely fucked. If you would move the engines further apart, that's all you had to do to make that design like 80% better. Just move those. Don't have them so goddamn close together. Sergeant Montgomery says, poopsie. Yeah, poopsie. There you go. We'll modify it. Instead of moopsie, you'll be a poopsie. Mastingo, my girlfriend and I just finished DS9 and are on Voyager now. My second time for each. Her first. Nice. Hypno Amber, First Contact is the only movie I have to rent in Paramount and Amazon. I'm pissed. I get the extra channel for a reason. Fleetpaw said DS9 is great. My favorite series. Mastingo loved DS9. John Walker says, Dingo. I'd like to hear her thoughts on the Tuvix scenario. I'd like to hear whose thoughts on the Tuvix scenario. My thoughts are this. It's simple. Hashtag Janeway did nothing wrong. Absolutely not a goddamn thing wrong. To me, there is no moral dilemma in that situation, honestly. But we're not talking about that right now, because that'll be a whole thing. Mark says, I accepted the JJ prize being the flagship just because it was an alternate timeline. Yes, that's fine. Absolutely. That's why I can accept that the Enterprise in Strange New Worlds is the flagship as well. It's just an alternate timeline. Mastingo, LOL. I had to give her a brief on Tuvix because we watched Lower Decks, LOL. Not quite there yet. Oh yeah, that would be confusing. Yeah. Hypno Amber, with only a couple of exceptions, I love the TOS movies. What's your exception? Star Trek V, The Final Frontier is completely awful. It's not that bad. There are moments from Star Trek V that are fantastic. It gets a bad rap, much worse rap than it deserves, in my opinion. And that movie was not what it was intended to be. It was intended to be much different, but because of cost cutting, like cost gouging, actually, Shatner had nothing to work with. So, considering all of the back end shenanigans of what went on with that, I think he did a fantastic job, and I really enjoy that movie. It's got a very TOS feel to it, especially the relationship between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Now, I'm defending this for a reason, I don't know why, because she hasn't stated whether it's Star Trek V. But the only other one I think you can honestly complain about is the motion picture. Motion picture's great for a number of reasons, but it's also kind of shit for a number of reasons as well. So, anyway. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump all over you, Hypno Amber. I don't know if you're talking about Star Trek V. There's really no real issue. I shouldn't say that. There are issues with Star Trek V. It's just not as bad as everybody says it is. Fleet Palace says, hashtag Janeway did nothing wrong. Hashtag save Star Trek Prodigy. Yes, save Star Trek Prodigy. Go put that on your social media and just talk about say who your favorite character from Prodigy was. Say how much you like the Protostar. Keep that in the public consciousness. We got to get Prodigy saved. Mastingo, yeah, I saw the episode title and was like, we need to have a talk, honey. Hypno Amber, agree, Janeway did nothing wrong. She was torn up about it. Excellent acting, and everyone misses it. Yes. Pumpkin Spice, another issue is they did nothing to erase the Kelvinverse timeline. Vulcan should not be gone. Yesterday's Enterprise, Klingon War, and City on the Edge of Forever timelines had to be erased. John Walker said, just saying they could have made a transporter clone of Tuvix and then split the other one back. Yeah, and I've come up with alternate ways as well, like grab his DNA, throw it in stasis, figure that shit out when you get back to Starfleet Medical, reconstitute him. But the problem is, Tuvix had memories from both Neelix and Tuvok, which was kind of a violation of their privacy. So that really wouldn't work either. There's no answer to there's no simple answer to this question of Tuvix, because no matter what solution you come up with, there's problems with it. Fleetpaw said, "What does God need with a starship?" Mark Henson, the camping scene in Star Trek V was great. Bourbon and beans. It's not a dangerous combination; it's an explosive combination. Mark Henson, I love Spock, Kirk, and Bones interactions. Mark said, Final Frontier is very underrated. A marshmallow. Well, be a marshmallow. Hypno Amber, they all have great moments, but yeah, 5 is my least favorite with the most potential. Oh well. Yeah, could have been better, absolutely. But that being said, knowing what Shatner had to work with, I think he did a fine job. Pumpkin Spice, the whole 80s Trek movie series, way too much Klingons, no use of other adversaries. BJ said Star Trek V is one of my favorite films, guilty pleasure. The book on its making by Shatner's daughter is great. RJB 1714. I remember you said the Enterprise became the flagship in the motion picture, which makes me wonder, was the Enterprise still the flagship in Star Trek II when she's a training vessel? That's a very good question. Considering that Star Trek II was quite a bit after the motion picture, there's an answer to this. I just can't remember what it is right now. But yes, it was still considered the flagship. I think the bureaucracy of it, they were going to hand off the flagship designation soon, at the beginning of Star Trek II, to another ship. Very likely the Excelsior, which was getting ready at that time. And even like in Star Trek 3, we see that the Excelsior is still an NX class. It's an NX 2000. It's experimental. I think once it did its trial runs and proved itself and became NCC 2000 Excelsior, it was going to get the flagship designation. But the transwarp experiment failed. And no, it's not because... Okay, this is a whole goddamn... It's a whole thing. It's a whole interwoven story. The transwarp on the Excelsior failed. The project was a failure. And not because Scotty sabotaged it. We have a fact files. Is it a fact files? Or is it a Treknology? It's a Treknology episode. We have a Treknology episode on the transwarp drive, what happened, why it failed. And no, it's not because Scotty sabotaged it. Everybody thinks Scotty sabotaged the Excelsior, blah, blah. Yeah, he did. That's easily fixable. Just the premise itself of transwarp was flawed. And it failed. So that ship got relegated to getting new engines put in and still being a great explorer that lasted a long time, but was not what they had originally intended. So they were going to shuffle the designation of the flagship off onto the Excelsior. Then the events of Star Trek II happened, and then Star Trek III, and then they got another Enterprise, so they just kept the flagship designation with the Enterprise A, and that kind of kept that trend of now the ship has a suffix, a letter after it. That started that trend of we're just going to continue the name of the ship, because originally there was no ship that had any designation after the registry number. Enterprise was one of the first, if not the first. And because it's the flagship, that just became the new standard that the Enterprise would continue to be the flagship regardless. If there was no Enterprise, if it got destroyed, like after the Enterprise C got destroyed, another ship would get the designation and become the flagship until the next Enterprise was ready to go. But back in Star Trek II, that wasn't the case. And the flagship should be your biggest, baddest, most advanced ship. That's the point. Or at least most legendary ship, most capable ship. That's why they were going to shuffle the designation of the refit of the flagship onto the Excelsior when the Excelsior's design criteria was done. So, or testing was done. I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to remember from... Anyway. Fleet Paw said, my biggest issue with the Final Frontier is the damn turbolift scene. The rest of it is good. Oh yeah, from the shuttle bay to the bridge in like 2 seconds. Yeah. Sergeant Montgomery said, if you don't like Star Trek V, then you can go climb a rock. Joking. Mastingo, LOL, yes, the turbolift scene is unforgivable. But a lot of turbolift scenes in Star Trek are unforgivable. BJ said Enterprise A in Star Trek V is my favorite Enterprise. The mix of film and TOS aesthetics and design. John Walker said, yeah, transporter clones do have a bad track record of turning evil. There's that too. Pumpkin Spice says Riker's transporter clone was not evil like Kirk's, LOL. It wasn't evil, but he became very resentful and became a criminal at one point, joined the Maquis, stole the Defiant. He became resentful being trapped on that planet and having the other Riker fucking up his relationship with Deanna. And then, so that's kind of turning evil a little bit. John Walker, he didn't come out of that great though. Mastingo, I have no major issues with Star Trek V. I might be a bit biased because it was the first one I saw in theaters. E.R. Mixon's craziest theories, if it's a flagship, where is the flag officer? It's not the fucking modern military, all right? It's not the U.S. Navy. That's not how Starfleet works. Starfleet is an amalgamation of not only all of Earth's military forces, but also the other planets of the Federation. So the military aspect of having a flagship doesn't mean it has to have a fucking flag officer. You're applying modern day military structure to a future organization that incorporates multiple worlds as well as all of the military of our own world. So That's not how it works. Yeah, fuck it. Mark, you're right. Oh, rant alert. People have no imagination. Well, our military does it this way, so it's like, no. I'm not going to let it bother me. It's fine. I need a drink, though. My mouth is dry. Think what you want. It's not the flagship, whatever. Do what you need to do. Mark Lawrence throws in $10. Thank you so much, Mark. I was just watching old Trek spoofs and had TV Astra Vage. Mexican Star Trek was one of them. If you watch it, you'll see how much Ethan Peck Spock sounds like comedian Pat Kilbane's Spock. LOL. Fleet Paw shared the fact files, the transwarp fact files. Thank you. I guess it wasn't a Treknology, it was a fact file. Well, there you go. Check it out. It's a nice short video, but it talks exactly about why the transwarp experiment failed. BJ Tehran says Scotty sabotaged the Excelsior and it burned up on re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, while a random group of people on a mountain sadly watched it go down. That never happened to the Excelsior. Mark Henson, the numbers of the decks went backwards. Yes, I know. And like 75 decks. That ship only has like 24 decks. 21 decks on the refit, I think. Wish the bridge set wasn't damaged after voyage home. I know. People, wrong turbolift scene cap, deck 78. Gotcha. John Walker, how cool is it that Scotty talked about transparent aluminum in Star Trek 4? Now we actually have that. That is super cool. Absolutely. But it was something, Star Trek's always been based on actual scientific principles and stuff that people are working on, or like actual like dark matter and black holes and white holes and all that. Like they incorporate what's going on in the realm of science into the scripts. So that was something that people had been working on. And they just incorporated saying, yeah, it's finished. This is transparent aluminum. And then, of course, we naturally did get there because they were already working on it. So they incorporate actual scientific principles into Star Trek. And that's why Star Trek is so awesome. One of the reasons. Rant alarm. Fleetpaw says, way to go. You've gone and got him, Ranty. Congratulations. Mastingo, LOL. Pumpkin Spice, why did TNG through Enterprise do away with the Commodore rank? It's a good question. I have no idea. Mastingo, I came for the rants. BJ says Star Trek V was the first new Trek film I saw as a kid after years of just having number 2, 3, and 4 on VHS plus TOS episodes. I got it recorded off of a TV VHS tape for Grandpa. Pumpkin Spice says Mad TV. Sergeant Montgomery Mako said exactly, and that's why they put the M5 on the Enterprise, the best Starfleet had to offer. Fleetpaw said, how you been, Grievous? And Grievous says, doing great. Missed you yesterday for the Ahsoka Live. How are you? Yeah, Fleetpaw, where the fuck were you? How are you? But where were you for the Ahsoka Live last night, huh? Joe was there. Joe Torres was there. You know how bad you got to screw up to have you not be there, but Joe be there? Fleetpaw, what? I'm just kidding to both you and Joe. E.R. Mixon's craziest theories, but seriously, why would an old-ass Constitution class, even if the ship was new, be made the flagship over the new hotness? if you're talking about passing the flagship designation to the Enterprise A, I think it's probably because the captain of that ship and the crew of that ship saved Earth again. That's why. Legendary captain, legendary crew. That's their ship. That's going to be our flagship. Kirk's name would elicit more fear into an enemy than, hey, here comes an Excelsior class flagship, commanded by Captain Dipshit. You know, so yeah, that's why. Fleetpaw says they didn't do away with Commodore rank. They renamed it to be in line with modern military structure, Rear Admiral, lower half. Yeah, but then we get Colonel West in Star Trek 6. There's odd anomalies. It depends who's writing the script. You get odd anomalies as far as military hierarchy goes sometimes in Star Trek. Pumpkin Spice. It would have been cooler if Kirk got the Excelsior class Enterprise. Then when he gets messed up in Generations, it would have been more hitting. Okay, if you want to believe that, sure. They did that in the comics for a while, where he had the Excelsior. Let's see. Fleetpaw says you went live and I was driving the coach bus back to Ithaca College, dropping women's soccer off from their game. Fine. Paul Hitchcock, wouldn't any Constitution class ship be good to host the M5 computer? I always assumed the Enterprise was chosen somewhat at random. Exactly. General Grievous, but the Picard series brought back the Commodore rank with that Romulan. Yes, it did. Pumpkin Spice, the Enterprise A should be the refit one. Okay, it was the refit one. Jerry Williams, hi Captain Foley and Trekyards. This is Jerry Williams from Baltimore, MD. Last month of August, I finished and completed the sculpture of the USS Cerritos for the Star Trek Lower Decks. It's ready to go. Completed it for what? A sculpture for what? Where is it going to be? I want to see it. Colonel West was a changeling. You're not wrong. Mastingo, okay, y'all, I need to sign off. Lots of fun. Thanks for hosting, Captain. Hope everyone has a good day tomorrow. See you later, Mastingo. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Sergeant Montgomery said those ranks come in line from a different Federation division other than Starfleet, but still use Starfleet uniforms. Sure, I would buy that. John Walker says, loved how Lower Decks addressed the PIP inconsistencies by saying it's usually just corn. Yeah, sweet corn. Paul Hitchcock says, Joe Torres, the hell you say? Okay. BJ said, Royal Navy has Commodores as 1-star ranks. U.S. Navy did lower half in 1980s because Army and United States Air Force upset that the Navy flag officers jumped 1 rank to 2 stars. Starfleet ranks likely evolved too. Sure, all those things you said. Fleetpaw said, my headcanon says that Colonel West was part of the Makos, the UFP version of it. Yeah, I like that. Sure. That makes perfect sense, honestly. So, anyway, back to this episode. Yeah, so Tendi, that was a whole fucking segue there into weird territory. No, Tendi was great. Seeing her family, knowing that they're the 5th largest family in the crime syndicate, the Orion crime syndicate, was kind of cool. Getting some more Orion lore, learning that the fact they do still use their pheromones like that, or they're able to, but Tendi can't. She couldn't use the pheromones. That was interesting. She's the Prime, which is also the lead assassin for the syndicate, I guess, at least for that family. There was a lot to glean from this episode, and I gotta say, T'Lyn and Mariner and Tendi all look fantastic in their clubbing attire. T'Lyn's particularly was very nice. As for the Rutherford and Boimler thing, it was fine. Get two bonsais. Each have your own bonsai on your own shelf. See who can keep theirs alive the longest. Boimler with his vineyard experience, or Rutherford with his algorithm. You know, that's how I would have solved that situation. But anyway, yeah, this was fun. It was a fun episode. Much better than last week's. I wouldn't say much better. A little better than last week's. Is it better than the Moopsie one? That's, yes, I would say probably. But Moopsie elevates that episode, so I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see how we rank this one, though, how we score it tomorrow. Which, if you can attend, be there at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our complete review and live breakdown of this episode. And like I said, to anybody that maybe missed it at the beginning, on Saturday we're going to be doing a Trekyards, probably a Strange New Worlds Season 2 retrospective, and we're going to hang out and have some drinks, have an afternoon of fun times. We'll be starting probably around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, would be my guess. And maybe go until like 5 or 6. So if you can join us for that, please do. So there you go. There's my plugs. That's us talked about the episode now. Yeah. I smell a Tendi versus Section 31 Boimler fight. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Jerry. Yes, please tag me and all that stuff. I really appreciate that. Yes, Mark. Time to mention double cheeseburgers dressed like a Mac. There you go. I might miss tomorrow. I'm taking Spawn #3 to the comic book store, but I will be there on Saturday. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on Saturday with your drink. We'll be drinking with us. That'll be awesome. So yeah, no problem if you can't make it tomorrow, Hypno Amber, but thank you so much for joining me tonight. And yeah. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it there, guys. I got a little ranty, went off topic, addressed a few things that you guys had to talk about, which would be fun for just a regular hangout. I'm still tired from the other, like last night I was also tired. I just haven't been getting a lot of sleep lately, so I'm a little bit not 100% into going for 2 hours, honestly. So hopefully you guys don't mind if I call it a night tonight. If you have anything else you need to say about the episode, by all means throw it in the chat, even if you're watching this after the fact and it's not live. I want to hear it, so please throw it in. If you want a super chat, please do so as well. Hit the like button, do all the things, subscribe, see if you want to join the channel, be part of our fleet video. You know the routine, guys. And yeah, I think I'm going to call it there and go down and go to bed. Thank you all for joining me. Hope I didn't annoy anybody with my rants. And it's been an honor serving with you all. At ease. See you guys later. Have a good night. John Walker, $2. Thanks for the fun hangout. Thank you so much for the super chat, John. Much appreciated. Love hanging out with you guys. So no problem. It's my pleasure. So anyway, on that note, have a good night, everybody. I'll catch you later.